Hello again, welcome back. As usual, this is Becca, going by Netcat or Netcat's Meow when online, or if you're playing Overwatch or Heroes of the Storm, then I'm going by GamerSelf. Um, Anybody actually interested in getting some game on sometime, let me know. I'll actually give you the full tag with all the little numbers that Blizzard attaches to things. Anyway, welcome back once again to my wonderful loft here in scenic uptown cyberpunky Calabashi City. Actually, probably will be working on more of a rundown, grittier section of the town for those that want the more classically dark aspected cyberpunk. But you're not here for me to talk about my little sim here. You are here to talk for me to talk about Linden's scripting language. Specifically, we have another request from the wonderful Karen W. Good to hear from you again. Hope you're doing well. And this is about making HUDs. You mentioned putting them in for controlling clothing or jewelry or the like. So I will go over a couple of basic settings that might be relevant to that as I prototype this HUD system for you. Of course, I don't necessarily know all the particulars, so if there's something you specifically need that I'm not going over, just leave another comment and I'll be sure to fill in the blanks. So, that said, HUDs generally need two primary parts: the object that is going to be affected in the world, and the HUD itself. We can start with both of these with the traditional Mark I cube. Now, for this case, since jewelry was the example that was given, I'm going to presume you're going to want to control color and size. You may also want to control texturing, but I'll see about adding that one in another one. I've covered texturing things in a few places. So we're actually going to make the HUD with the anticipation of having 3 buttons. I'm going to just cut these as I would see for a quick and simple method of creating the buttons. A simple up arrow for making something larger, a simple down arrow for making it smaller, and then another box that would control sizing. Or not sizing, it was control color, sorry. You'll find a lot of HUDs that are decorated with pretty texturing jobs and the like. They don't have to be. They just have to be able to convey information very simply. Actually, probably going to need a bit more thickness on these to be able to scale them down. There's a limit to how far a object can go in terms of sizing it down, and that is 0.01 meters. If it reaches that point on any of its 3 axes, it will not let you make it any smaller. So, sample HUD. Take. Attach to center. Oh, that's not too bad. We'll stick that right over here for now. And this little box will be a stand-in representation for your jewelry. Obviously not the best of jewelry. You know what? We can do better. We can take it from a box to a torus. Expand it out a bit. Just going to make this a very simple choker just to serve as an example. Move its texture. Give it just a little bit of gloss. And attach to neck. Again, you can use whatever you like, but for some of what I'm going to show you, we're actually going to have the object attached. So the first thing, you could set parts in each of your HUD buttons, but the more of them you have, the more complex that's going to get, and the more script memory is going to be involved in having all those individual little pieces. So, like we do with so many other things, we're going to make it a single script. To do that, though, we need, as usual, link numbers. I feel like I've done the get link number thing enough times that I shouldn't need to explain that if people have been watching the older videos. Three. And 1. So 1, 2, and 3. If you're going to have a lot of buttons, it's easier to have convenient labels for them. So integer up equals 2, integer down equals 3, integer color equals 1. This will make it much, much easier to go through and determine which one you're interacting with when you're writing the code. People that want to argue for the absolute perfect optimization could rightly argue that that's taking up a tiny bit of extra memory that isn't 100% required. However, my response to them is that it doesn't do you a whole lot of good if, say, you had a 30-button HUD and you couldn't remember which button was what when you went back through it. This makes it much easier to know what you're doing with the program, and that has value too. So, let us start by just making sure that we're reading all the buttons correctly. So, if detected link number 0, actually, let's make that even better. Integer button equals detected link number 0. In fact, let's make that even simpler just because we're going to have to type it in a lot. Press, as in pressed the button. If press equals up owner say up else if press equals down else if press equals color owner say color. There's absolutely no reason any part of this should not work correctly, but it's always good to double check everything. Up, down, color. Okay, that all works. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get these to give off specific messages. But a message doesn't mean anything if there's nothing to receive it. So we're going to need a script in here. You want to make sure you know what your HUD is called. In this case, sample HUD. LL listen. A lot of times you can just put a blank in there for what. In this case, we want to limit what it responds to. So it only listens if it is coming from sample HUD. No key because we can't necessarily control what that is. Oh yes, we also need the channel. So let's go ahead and make this channel 100. Listening for something from sample HUD. We don't care what the key is. We don't care necessarily yet what the message is. Then you need to know what to do when it has listened to something that meets these criteria, that is on channel 100 and comes from something called sample HUD. So you need your listen here. So integer chan, string what, key who, string message. Now, you're talking about creating a HUD to control your items. You want to make sure that somebody can't hijack that. So you want to protect it from somebody else messing with it. So if detected key 0 does not equal, and I screwed that up. If get owner key, that's what we needed. If get owner key message does not equal get owner, return. That automatically leaves this entire operation. It just nopes straight out of it. Else, owner say, message. This will let us confirm that that's coming through. So what we will do now, since we know all of these work, we put these brackets in here so that we can have more than one command attached to each of these. It's okay to skip that when you only have one command. Kind of better not to skip it because consistency is important, but it will run just fine if you only have one command to just stick it there. But we're about to add a second command. And that will be llRegionSayTo. Get owner, and we set that for channel 100. What this does, there's actually two different llRegionSay versions. There's llRegionSay and llRegionSayTo. Let me give you a quick example of how powerful llRegionSay can be. Set timer event 20 because I want this to repeat a couple times to make sure I don't miss it. forgot to add the channel. Now, if you look on here, you see I'm at about 4,015 meters in the air. Go to height. And this is the ground level of my sim here that I'm currently sinking down into. I'm going to place that box there. Actually, we can cut down the timer on that. This is really going to annoy any random visitors. So, 1, 2. I forgot it will not actually let you troll people by using llRegionSay on channel 0. I actually forgot that. So we'll set it to channel 1. And because I'll need something to intercept it, I will literally just add this to my hat. Give me just a moment. For those of you that go around RP sims, the speed at which I made that is why I no longer pay any attention to roleplay chat tools. It's so easy to just code a new one on the fly whenever I need one. So, world teleportal. So we're now over 4,000 meters away. And we're still receiving the message. It literally sends that message to the entire sim, no matter how far away you are. It will always go there. That, to put it gently, is really annoying. Actually, I can use this to demonstrate the next thing I need to show you anyway. However, if we change that to llRegionSayTo, I'll do them separate, 2, go where I want you to go. There. We should get both messages this next time. So as it times through. There it goes. The voice of llRegionSay and the voice of llRegionSay to my owner. World teleportal. We're going to get both messages again up here. And then I'll show you why the difference is important when I take off my hat. You see, this time I only get this is the voice of llRegionSay. I do not get the voice of llRegionSay to my owner. One of the really important parts of llRegionSayTo is that it will go specifically to the key it's given or to an object currently attached to that key if that key belongs to an avatar. So right now, both of them will send a message to the entire region, but only one of them will actually process and do anything. That's why it's very useful for HUDs, because nothing else will even receive the message. You wind up using system resources to process something when it receives the message and then has to actually do something with it. Though you're sending the message to the entire region doing this, only me or objects attached to me actually receive the message. Nothing else receives it, so nothing else has to process it, so nothing else has to... Okay, that covered llRegionSayTo as a way of helping you filter how to make sure the messages from your HUD are going only to the objects on that HUD's user, as well as how to filter out messages coming from anywhere else. And then next week, we'll go into more detail about working the messages in that and ways that you might be able to use that in a sample object. So that video again will be up next week. Until then, good day, good luck, happy scripting, and as usual, if there's something specific you'd like me to cover, go ahead and request that in the comments. I do get updates on those, and this is for you guys. We're doing this particular piece because Karen W. asked me for it. The rest of you are free to ask as well. The better I know what y'all want, the better I know what to make. So, see you in a week.